Let's hope for another part where maybe I will see it on Broadway. And maybe there will be merch and I can buy. You can just see the obsession everywhere in this frame going on. We made it to Broadway. Oh my gosh. Hold on, let me get, look at that. You may be thinking, this is a really cute little frame for this. It did not fit and I taped it, but I really wanted to frame it right away. I have 2 of these suffering with tape on them, so stay tuned for that. That is right, welcome to, what part are we even on with this? I want to mention also, as I'm looking this up, each year, my videos for The Outsiders, I've made one each year I've been in college, and we've had a different, like, background. So freshman year was my freshman dorm, sophomore year was my sophomore dorm, and now we're in my junior year making this new Outsiders video, and we're in my junior dorm. It's my own room too, which is wild. So this is what's going on with the Outsiders musical, part 4. We made it to Broadway, and I was so lucky to see the first preview. Now, another shout out that's not even intentional by the Outsiders musical is that last year I said to myself, I'm never gonna make it to California to see the show. I was able to because it was spring break. This year, I got so lucky because I was like, man, I'll probably see it like in the summer. Nay, it happened again that the first preview though, this time even more special, was during my spring break. The last day I was home, because for the whole week I was in New York City for an immersion, which I did stop by the theater to go check it out, and I went to the One Schubert Alley store to get some of the merch before I bought more merch at the show. But let's show my pride during that whole But yeah, I got so lucky that I got to see the first preview. It was my birthday gift, my 21st birthday gift. I said, all I want are tickets to the Outsiders musical first preview. That's it. That's what I want. And I got it, and I'm so, so happy to witness such an iconic moment, not just for Broadway, but to like feel a little personal for myself, for like, I don't know, like seeing this whole show grow and documenting it. Like, I had a post from like 2018 of when they announced they were doing it, and that was it. But then I started documenting freshman year, like 3 years ago, and now we're here. And I saw it on Broadway. Like, yes, I saw it in California. Of course, a very special moment for me. My water bottle also. Talk about merch. By the way, this is all I had, and now I have plentiful. I'm having like the best time. I'm in my Outsiders renaissance yet again. But just to watch this show grow so much and being able to witness so many Broadway debuts, that's another thing. Like, that's so amazing and so inspirational too. I can only imagine what that felt like. Now, when I saw the California run, we did a vlog / review. I actually, this time around, have organized all of my notes. Yeah, it's a lot, but remember that the last vlog I did was like 44 minutes. We'll see how long this one goes, but I decided it's still gonna be a little messy, it's still gonna be chaotic, but I have everything that I wanted to talk about right here. I didn't do an actual vlog just because California was special, because I was in California, I've never been there. New York City, I've been a bunch of times, and I mostly just documented on Snapchat for myself, so maybe I will share those. We don't know yet, but let's start. Okay, I should get like a little Sharpie or highlighter to make sure that I got all my points down. Let me get a sip of water really quick. I just want to start with some general stuff before I get into what the first preview was like. Just some things to discuss. The logo change. I know, let me get the comparison out. we need to catch up. It's been a while. It's been a year on here. TikTok, we go every day with the Outsiders musical, but we have to catch up a little bit. Originally, this was the color scheme, little sunset with the black, and I really do like it. I think it stands out. I think it pops. And then, let's see if we can tilt this, because the Playbill doesn't really show you. Just this bluish with the gold, I also really like. I do wonder what made them change it. I like that they tried something new, as most musicals do when they transfer to Broadway. But if anyone knows about that, let me know, because I am curious. Like sunset, like gold makes sense. Stay gold. But sunset, like we saw the same sunset, you know? Just, I thought I would add that in there. Or let's talk about the Playbill. Ah, look at how cute this is. I love it because it reminds me of the movie poster, and it's gonna make me emotional. When they were, by the way, when they were doing their bows, I think I started crying again, but that just reminded me of that. These both equally, I love so much. I love this though, and I wonder when like when some people leave the show, I don't know what they would do, because I've seen Mean Girls was this cover, and then they just changed it to the, maybe that's what they'll do? I don't know. But I really like it. It reminds me of the movie poster, and just seeing everybody, like, it just shows that it's all coming true. Like, it's all happening. In case you also didn't know, the Outsiders musical is at the Bernard B. Jacobs Theater. I want to point that out, you know, in case you were wondering. Their website, I'm also going to put in the description below, but check it out, buy your tickets. And speaking of people who are on the cover of this Playbill, I want to talk about the cast, too. Some people from La Jolla, most people from La Jolla Playhouse returned, and there were some new people. So I brought up my handy-dandy phone so I make sure that I don't say some people's names wrong. But here are some major changes. Brody Grant is still Ponyboy, and sometimes I like to think back to, I remember when the workshops were happening, and I was trying to, I think it's on the first part of this video back in freshman year, like trying to figure out who's who on the list. I think Sky Lakota Lynch posted it on his story or something, and I was trying to decode the blurriness of it, and Brody Grant was originally Soda Pop. I cannot imagine that anymore because he's just the perfect pony boy. Like, he was so good. Speaking of Soda Pop, Jason Schmidt has returned from La Jolla Playhouse, and I'm obsessed with his voice. And he's also, they all embody their characters very well, and we're gonna get into that, but him as Soda Pop, I'm so happy he returned. Derry. Ryan Vasquez was in 3 of the shows, like, on Broadway right now that had their, like, out of New York run, so that include The Notebook, Outsiders, and Water for Elephants. And he chose The Notebook, like a Bermuda Triangle also. They're all next to each other. It's so funny. But he has not returned to The Outsiders. However, Brent Comer, one of the nicest people I've ever met, at the stage door in California. That wasn't even, I was just standing there waiting for people just to say, good job! He was Paul in the La Jolla run. He is now Derry, and by golly, what a voice. Great acting. I love him as Derry. He's so good. I'm obsessed. Then we have Devon T. Moody did not return. We have Joshua Boone, who brings, like, a different kind of Dally than what we saw in La Jolla. I really like it. It's a lot of rough and tough. He still has that little Broadway voice that I love. So he was such a great Dally. For 2-bit this time we have Daryl Tofa, who was in the ensemble cast in La Jolla, and his 2-bit is so charming, and I just love the 2-bit. And then Sky Lakota Lynch is returning as Johnny, which, by the way, I love Johnny's new hair. I love that wig so much. It's really cool. His Johnny makes me cry. That's all I gotta say. Cherry is different. It is Emma Pittman. Obsessed. And everyone on this YouTube channel knows I love Cherry with all my heart. Dream roll. But, oh, so good. And then these are everybody else in the show. A lot of the same people, new people coming in, a lot of Broadway debuts, like I said, amazing. Before I move on from the big changes of the cast, they now have Steve, but it's more of, like, there's someone who has the name of Steve. I would love to see Soda Pop and him have, like, their moments together. Steve is played by Rennie McGee, and I love that they actually technically added Steve because a lot of people were upset, and I think it was a good move to have Steve now. I'm holding my paper for this because this is a lot of information and I might get it wrong. But In-person rush is, I believe, $45 each if you want to get a ticket, if you're, thinking about seeing Outsiders on a whim. And then they have, which I love this so much, if you are under 30 years old, you can get a $30 ticket. And those are in the box office daily. So in-person rush tickets will be available beginning at 10 a.m. each morning and 12 p.m. on Sundays, and those in line can purchase up to tickets at $45 each, like I mentioned. And then tickets for $30 when you're under 30 will also be available at the beginning at 10 a.m. each morning and 12 p.m. on Sundays. You can line up and purchase up to 2 tickets, $30 each, and you have to have your ID, of course, because that would just... how are they gonna know? They're also gonna do digital lottery. I think that's gonna be $49. I might be wrong. Go on their website. Another general thing, so far there is no cast album yet. I'm waiting. But if you want to listen to some of the songs released, they have 2 on Spotify right now. They have Great Expectations, which is so beautiful, and I'm sobbing, and it makes you wonder what they're going to perform at the Tony Awards because there's so many good numbers. Great Expectations, maybe. And then they also have Stay Gold, which is Johnny, and Ponyboy is also in the song as well. So those are on Spotify. Then on YouTube, you can watch the music video of Tulsa 1967, and it shows how the cast went to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they went to the Curtis brothers' house, and they talked to like high schoolers, and they went to all the places in the movie, and it was super cool to watch, so go watch that. And our final general note is merchandise. And I remember a ton of times in my video I was like, oh, we're gonna need merch, because I pulled it out before, but this is all I had. Now, give a little haul here. Why don't I just show the TikTok? Instead of repeating myself, I'm gonna play the TikTok that I made of my merch haul on here. It's lazy, but it's efficient. Starting off, we have this super cute beanie. I hope they get a baseball cap soon because I want one for the summer. But this is really helpful because it's snowing right now in New York, so I'm keeping warm. I got this and a few other things at the One Schubert Alley store. I went prior to seeing the show because I was hoping to get some things there and then didn't have to carry much when I saw the first preview. So we have that. Another thing that I got at the Schubert Alley store, I will be living in this every day of my life. It says The Outsiders musical, super soft crew neck, might I add. The other thing I bought at the One Schubert Alley store, these are all, by the way, at the show. I want to add that, but like I said, I got these prior. Jean tote bag. I love that it's jean. It's super cute, and it goes with all my outfits, I just want to say. And the last thing I bought at the Schubert Alley store were these little pin set things. Here they are. There's Stay Gold and The Outsiders. They went on my jean jacket when I saw the show, and they will probably be living there forever. Then I have this cute shirt. It has everybody's name on it, and where is it? The little sleeve that says The Outsiders. I look like a skater girl right now, and I'm kind of living for it, but look at that. They have 2 other shirts there. I posted the video of where you can buy the merch too, but I took this one for now. I will, when I go back to the show, I'm probably gonna get the other shirts and the other merch. You get your souvenir cup at the bar. Special shout out to cast member Melody Rose's mom and aunt for coming up to me and knowing who I was, which was really awesome, and they got me a drink at the bar. So you could get a souvenir cup at the bar. They didn't have any special cocktails, but they said that they might have them after previews, so when the show opens, but I've been using it as a water bottle, and it's really special to me now, so cheers. And speaking of drinks and stuff, I got a mug also, and it says when I stepped out into the bright sunlight. I like the color of it. It's kind of ceramic almost. It's really heavy, and I will be drinking. Oh, I never drank my tea from the audience rewards box that they gave me, so I'll probably have to use that tea for the first sip of the mug. Then I got this friendship bracelet looking thing. It's green. It says Stay Gold. I thought that was really funny because if you follow me on here, I've been making like friendship bracelet style like lyrics from the show like for a few months now. So that was wacky that they had that. Let me get like a back camera of this. It just matches my other bracelets. It's a little big on me, that's why it's kind of rolling down here, but I like that it matches my other bracelets. Also, at the first preview, they gave you these cute patches. I have 2 because I stole from my dad. But yeah, I'm gonna put these on my jean jacket. And of course, special shout out to the audience rewards bag that I wore to the show. And the classic. Look how far we've come. This was my only piece of merch. And now we have so much. I feel like I have been spoiled in Outsiders Musical Love. I won this in a giveaway, and I kept the box because it's so beautiful. I'm trying to see if maybe I can, like, tape it on my wall with everything else. It came with, I think it's in the TikTok video, my little fanny pack. And it came with the book and a bookmark. The bookmark is somewhere over there. I'm using it right now. But there's so many things, and I had, like, tea, which I think I'm gonna use for my mug. I'm obsessed with this mug. It's really nice. So I mentioned it in the TikTok, but I wanted to share these again because I think they're absolutely adorable. They gave these out at first preview. I think I'm gonna put them on my jean jacket as like the Outsiders pin set, or I might find something else to put it on. I'm not really sure yet. You can get merch at the show, and you can also get it at the One Schubert Alley. That's where I went for a few things before I saw the show, which was really nice. Because then I wasn't carrying as much, which I'm just an Outsiders musical shopaholic at this point. First preview. Keep in mind, things are still changing until opening night. When opening night hits, they're gonna freeze the show, and that's that. So, let's start. Literally, the first note was, it's first previews. And not in a bad way. I just want to say whatever I say could possibly be changed when, like, if you're watching this and you're gonna go see it in 3 days. It's subject to change. That's all I'm saying. Imagine I was like, keep in mind it's first previews. Never with this, which is going to segue into, it was just as good as the California run, maybe even better. Oh my gosh, I could talk about the show, and I have, for hours on end. I mean, look at the vlog last time was 44 minutes, like I said. It's just so mesmerizing and hypnotizing, and you could tell that there's so much care in this musical. And with that being said, there were definitely some small changes that I noticed. In the California run, when you walked into the theater, they had old ads appear. I'll put them up on here. I took a ton of pictures there. And they had to do with, like, the time period and the place that it was set in, and it played old jingles from commercials while you were waiting for the show to begin. In this version, I love this. I didn't even think of this. The curtain is the old original Outsiders cover, like the book cover. Something I was worried about was that Ponyboy was not going to come out during pre-show and sit on his little tire and write, but he did, and I don't know why. I really love that choice. I just want to know the thought process of everything, every choice that was made during the show, because they're perfect. They're so great. His journal that he's writing in, I believe, I'll put the video up from last year. I believe it was just like a composition notebook or just a regular journal. This one was also the original book cover of The Outsiders. It did not obviously say The Outsiders like the curtain, but it was like the shadows running. This cast, and I wrote it in my notes. I wrote it here. They are a force to be reckoned with. Like, if they don't get any Tony Awards, I'm gonna be absolutely shocked, and you will hear from me. Antoinette Perry, you will hear from me. I will find ways to get Tonys for them. I could literally listen to their voices all day. Like, just, I don't know how they do it. As a musical theater major, I'm truly inspired by this cast. Like, it is insane. And I could literally talk about this cast nonstop. They are the sweetest people, by the way. Like, truly, I will put up my pictures at stage door, which was chaotic, but I met people that I talked to in La Jolla, and I always talk about it because you don't really get hugs at stage door that often, and you don't really know the people. Having these moments with the cast members at stage door, they did it. They made it to Broadway, and I felt like I was with them, not doing a lot of work with them, but like I was with them the whole way, following their journey, and I'm so proud, and I got to talk to them, and just to be like, to tell them that they're amazing and that they deserve all the love in the world. Moving on before I go on a tangent with all of these people. The set, let's talk about the set. Still stunning as ever. I am obsessed with the dirt on the stage. it was it was literally being kicked. I was third row and I was still getting some of the dirt on me. Not a lot. If I did have enough, I probably would put it in a bottle. If someone wants to find a way to give me a bottle of that dirt, I will thank them. What would I do with it? Probably get a little shelf for it and put it up here. I'm obsessed with it. I love that they have that. And the rain, we'll get to the rumble scene, don't you worry. And the fire and the cars. I love the cars. And I love the playground feel of it. There's something so perfect about it. The water in the tire that they use for the fountain and everything. I just love that there's like actual water on stage. There's lots of blood. And I'm fine with it. Because honestly, if there's one show on Broadway that needs that amount of blood, it's probably The Outsiders, because there's a lot of fighting. And we're gonna get to that choreography. We'll talk about that in a minute. All I said in this one bullet point, so cinematic. For about a year now, I've been trying to find the right words to describe this musical, and I can really come up with cinematic. And not like, oh, it's a movie. It's a musical on the book/movie. And like, a good comparison would be Almost Famous, where it was word for word the movie, with maybe like some changes. But cinematic for The Outsiders is more, like, I cannot explain it, but it felt real. And it felt like this is what The Outsiders should be. I know a lot of people don't like books and movies and TV shows being turned into musicals, but sometimes there are people who will do those pop culture things justice. Outsiders being one of them. I think they did such a great job, and it deserves to be on Broadway. That's all I'm gonna say. Next, I want to talk about the audience. So first preview was obviously sold out. That line went around the block. Like, it was insane. But everyone was so happy to be there. And I've never been to a first preview, so I don't know if it's just because it was like first preview energy, but seeing so many people being supportive of this show, and there were family members in the audience for the cast and crew. There was so much love in the audience, and you don't get that, I think, anymore. A lot of people are talking about how theater is dying. I don't think it is. As long as people keep supporting live theater and loving it and sharing their love for it, that's all you really can do. Literally just good vibes and good energy in that audience. And then we were all in shambles, and there was not one dry eye in that audience. Someone was sobbing uncontrollably. I was sobbing uncontrollably. Shout out to my dad for holding my hand it was literally probably the rest of Act 2. I don't even know where I started crying at that point. It was definitely before, spoiler alert, Johnny's death. But tears coming down my eye. Everyone was crying. For those who don't know much about The Outsiders musical, and you are concerned for it being a musical, it's not flashy and classic. If you think, I know a lot of people are probably like, oh my god, The Outsiders musical, they're obviously gonna have a Stay Gold song. Obviously they are. It's not gonna be Johnny singing Stay Gold in this like jazzy-esque Fosse or flashy song. It's not classic musical theater, as in stereotypical musical theater, I think is the right word. They add this folky country flair to it, and it's so raw. And I know a lot of people are like, isn't it West Side Story? It's not. It really is not. And it's just great. Like, Jamestown Revival and Justin Levine do such a great job with the music. It's, and Adam Rapp with the book. Don't even get me started on the book. I just love it so much. The direction of the musical, 10 out of 10. It's not stereotypical musical theater. And you must go see The Outsiders musical. I'm gonna say it like 50 times in this video that you have to go see it. Let's talk about the Cooperman brothers choreography. Fight and dancing wise. Literally hypnotizing. I'm like looking at my notes to make sure I don't even miss anything talking about it, but you cannot take your eyes off of it. The drive-in scene, I'm obsessed with that choreo. The rumble scene makes me want to go up on stage and help them out, because I can't fight, but I will help them because it's just insane. Like, the fighting is crazy. Also, a lot of crazy lifts in the air from the choreography. Just insane. Once again, the cast and crew of the show deserve so much love, and the effort and the hard work they brought in should not go unnoticed. Like, it's literally so good, and they handle this show and the book and the movie with such care. I think I mentioned it in my last video, but this musical is quite literally the love letter to The Outsiders as a whole. And I also want to mention Essie Hinton has been involved in this musical. I want to put that out there. Saying that because there are a ton of scenes in this staged version that's not in the book or the movie. Those scenes I am so glad they kept in the Broadway version, because I think it adds more to the show, and it gives you a better look inside, like, the relationships of the greasers. One of them I wrote was there's a talk between Derry and Dally after Johnny and Pony run away, and it's just really cool to see, because Dally, I'm not going to say, this is the general review, so I'm not going to say. I will mention it in the spoiler part of this video, but there's something there, and the effect, and it's basically a little fight between the two. I'm also going to talk about this in the spoiler part, but the aftermath of Johnny and Dally's death, I know they kind of do it in the book, and they mention, like, you can't keep grieving, you gotta get moving, blah blah blah. Just something new about this one. I'll talk about it in the spoiler part, but I'll repeat the word again. It adds to the story, and I'm really glad they kept it in. Costumes, I want to talk about that also. Of course, they're jeans and late 60s-esque. I'm obsessed with them. I don't care if they're a pair of jeans or a jacket. I'm obsessed. I also am in love with Cherry and Marcia's outfits and the ensemble women's outfits. Literally the cutest thing. And Cherry had pants in the California run. She had a lot of green. I'm really glad they brought the pink in. There's less costume changes for Cherry this time around, but I really love the pink aesthetic for her. It fits her a lot. I did like the pants, personally, but also I like Cherry more with her, like, cashmere sweater and her skirt. Also, Johnny's yellow Converse, not really a big thing, but I really love that they're yellow, because, oh my gosh, I should show my outfit that I wore this time around, but I was looking for yellow Converse for the show, because I remember last year Johnny had those Converse, and obviously it's for, like, Stay Gold, and I really like that costume choice. I couldn't find them. I got Cherry Converse instead, and I think it was the best purchase I ever made. They're the platform ones. I've never had platform Converse ever. I'm truly... Character that I'm really happy that they kept was Ace. Ace is played by Tilly Evans Kruger, and who is such a talented dancer. But it was kind of really smart to add a female greaser. I love Ace. I am still an Ace stan. Let me bring back that picture from the last video that I made. She's so funny, and I remember in the California run, she was, like, playing hard to get with Soda Pop. This time around, she was like, I love you, Soda. It was perfect. I love Ace. Ace stand for life. I'm ripping out this Playbill to read off the songs that they have so far. The songs are mostly the same. They just have some little changes in the lyrics. Some of them sounded a little different to me, and I'm pretty sure, I could possibly be wrong, but I think the harmony for I Could Talk to You All Night was different. I'm not sure. Let's talk about the songs. We have Tulsa 67. Oh, that's funny. Tulsa 67, not Tulsa 1967. Tulsa 67, Grease Got a Hold, Runs in the Family, Great Expectations, Friday at the Drive-In, I Could Talk to You All Night, Runs in the Family Reprise, which I called last year, I think, the slap song. So it's nice that it has a name now. Obviously it was going to be a reprise. Then Far Away from Tulsa, which I called Someplace, and I made a bracelet that says Someplace. Same song. Run Run Brother. Then Act 2 is Justice for Tulsa, Death's at My Door, Throwing in the Towel, Soda's Letter, Hoods Turned Heroes, Hopeless War, Trouble, Little Brother, Stay Gold, and Finale. I think the only song that didn't make it, there was a Cut That Hair song, which was in the beginning of the show with the Socias and Ponyboy. It's more of, like, a taunting to Ponyboy now. If you want to bring back Cut That Hair, just for, like, a bonus soundtrack song, I remember really liking it. Did it move anything in the plot? No, but I loved it, which also, like Marsha's song Bad Idea. Put them in a bonus section of the album, the cast album. One example I do remember is Hopeless War was sung by Randy, Cherry, and Ponyboy. Randy's not really in the show anymore, and he's kind of replaced by Paul. Yes. Paul's not in Hopeless War. It's now just Cherry and Ponyboy. That's set in, like, if you've read the book and the movie, Randy talks to Ponyboy in the car. That whole conversation is now just Cherry and Ponyboy. And Emma Pittman, I have a note about Emma Pittman during Hopeless War. Emma Pittman is insane, oh my god. Her voice during that song, obviously we know I Could Talk to You All Night is my favorite song from the whole show, but her voice soars in Hopeless War. And I just want everyone to know that. Hopeless War, I found a new love for it during this run. I loved it in the California run. I loved it even more on Broadway. Just, hold on, I just want to talk about it really quick. The line where it's like, you'll still be the losers, destined to fail. Never forget, because it was in the audition cut when I found that folder. But the lyrics, life-changing. And it was set right before the Rumble. And we're gonna lead in to how the Rumble played on Broadway. Oh my god. Last year, my jaw was dropped during this whole scene, and it does not get old. My jaw continued to drop. I was gasping. I was like on the edge of my seat. There was a ton of times during this first preview where I was like holding my heart because I'd be like, you know? And there were some tweaks in the fight. I'm not gonna mention it until we get to the spoiler part, but I will let you know I continue to adore this scene. And if you haven't heard, yes, they do use real rain. There is no singing during it, nothing. It's just pure fighting. It's moving. Along with the water, they did add fire to the church burning scene. In the California run, it was just smoke and a little girl running up and going into the church. I really like this now because there was a whole moment that they build off of, and fire was just everywhere on stage. It was so cool. I also want to mention they have the church built into the set now, and it's so pretty. Originally, last year, they had it come from, like, above and hang above the stage. It was really cool. I do really like, though, where the church scene is now. Like, it's at the top of the set, and it stays there, and then they, like, crawl out. I don't know how to really explain it. When you go see it, and you buy your tickets, and you go see The Outsiders, you'll understand. This also brings me to, I have it in my notes, this also brings me to shouting out the lighting, sound, and projections throughout the show. There's punch noises that, like, give you chills and flashes of light, and there's this beautiful moment in Great Expectations, and it comes up a few other times where it's like constellations on stage. I'm obsessed. Literally, lighting, this crew, 10 out of 10. Moving on, something I really love to watch in Broadway shows and just musical theater in general is what's going on in the background sometimes with other characters, and this was the perfect show to watch that because I need to make sure I made sure to write it all down. Grease Got a Hold on You, telling Ponyboy that he's like a cool greaser now after getting away from the socias and everything, and as they're all fooling around, Derry's just like leaning against the little jungle gym thing and just being done with them, and every time Soda came by, he was like, no, I don't want to do this. It was so funny. It's hilarious. And then, on a sadder note, when Johnny died, I was watching everything that was happening in the moment. But what captured me the most was watching Ponyboy. He was front and center on stage, right in front of the bed that Johnny was in. And he's sitting there, like, just in shock. Like, he's just kind of there. And Soda Pop was sitting next to him. Jason Schmidt, literally, this whole cast, like I said, is so talented. But Jason Schmidt in that moment, where he was trying to comfort and calm down Ponyboy, and he was struggling because Ponyboy was not responding at all, I was just, like, watching them. And I was in awe. And I was starting to tear up even more. Just, it brings me to my next thing on the chemistry of this cast. It just felt like a family, and they take care of each other. There's just so much love between them all, and you can really see that. Obviously, when they're fighting, You can't. That's just good acting. But during the battles, like, they're all coming together and it's, you could just, there's so much love. That's the general review of the show. It was amazing. I use this joke often, but it exceeds your great expectations. It's so good, and even though, you know, it's the first preview, it's in such a good spot, and I can't wait to see it again millions of other times after it opens. I wish I could go to the opening, but I'm busy, sadly. After it opens, I'm so excited to see what they kept and what they changed, everything. So now on to the spoiler part, which is a good 3 pages. Starting on Act 1, I do want to talk about how I missed the way they opened up the show back in the California run. They had Johnny come out from the side, and the Jacobs Theater is a little different than the Weiss Theater, being it is a Broadway theater. You can't really do what you did in California sometimes, but they had Johnny come out. Ponyboy introduces Johnny, and just this like base build-up. I remember talking about it in my vlog, but it was such a great build-up. It has you immediately hooked. This new beginning, though, I still like, and it obviously will have you hooked. If anything, you should be hooked as soon as you walk into the theater. That's personally where I think you should be like, I'm ready to go. They do start with Pony reading the opening of his book, you know, as the book starts anyways. So I do like that. They didn't do that in the California run, so I'm glad that they chose to do that now. And he shows everybody what he's writing in his journal too, and I thought that was really cool. And just to be like, oh, he's writing The Outsiders. Like, that's what you're watching, and obviously he's narrating in the show too, just like the book. I remember when Pony comes to sit in the audience, which he still does. He does continue to sit in the audience. He sits front row, and you're still watching the movie with him. But in the California run, the whole thing with Johnny being introduced is they were sneaking into the movie theater together, and it was more of Pony getting really excited, and the music builds up with him, and it revs him up, and he gets so excited about Cool Hand Luke. This time, though, it's more of him daydreaming. And I like it either way. I do really miss, though, when they got caught in the movie theater and they ran right across you in the front row all the way back up to the stage. I thought that was really fun. I do like, though, that he still comes into the audience and we just feel a part of the story. With the curtain, it's a scrim curtain, so when the lights flashed on and Pony was kind of narrating what his life is like, the lights go on, and on the scrim curtain, you see Derry and Soda doing what they're doing. Like, I'm pretty sure Derry was doing laundry. I'm pretty sure. But I like that they set it up like that, and then the curtain rises, and it's like, Tulsa, 1967. Great. I did mention, I call it the Cut That Hair song, is not in the show anymore. It's more of him. It's more of the Socias taunting Ponyboy. Still, that scene really gets me. And it's more of Bob and Paul now instead of Bob and Randy, which, like I said, I would like to know their choices, because I think Randy doesn't really have that much character in the book. Like, he's there for the jump scene and then talking to Ponyboy. But Paul has more of a connection to Derry, and they do mention that in Act 2. So happy that they kept Grease Got a Hold on You. It's one of my favorite songs. It's so fun, and I like the bluesiness of it. Great Expectations, though, mesmerizing. Literally, Ponyboy gets out of bed and he has this flashlight, and he goes around as he's singing about all of his friends, and they're all just like in their own world. He's just putting a flashlight on everybody, and you're just watching their little lives play out. Oh, and the constellation, it's such a brilliant scene. And literally, sky full of stars, and I'm sitting there and I was like, wow, this is amazing. I said that throughout the whole show. And then I cried again during Great Expectations. Chills. Brody Grant, if he doesn't get a Tony, I don't know what life is at this point. Something that's not in the book that was in the California run and they brought it to the Broadway run is the conversation between Dally and Johnny after Great Expectations, where Johnny's parents are fighting again and he's sitting outside. Dally finds Johnny and offers him like a chocolate bar to eat, and he's like, you should have this, you know, and he gives Johnny the switchblade. I think that's a great setup. I really like that. We're just really zooming through. I'm trying not to make this video 44 minutes. Drive-in scene is mostly the same. I'm glad that they kept Johnny and Ponyboy trying to act older in front of Cherry and Marcia. They kept that, how old are you? We're 14, we're 15, that whole thing, 15, 16. and they're just fooling around and goofing off with each other. And I mentioned it before, but Sky Lakota Lynch and Brody Grant play off each other so well. They're so funny in that scene. I do miss Marsha and Two Bit's interaction in the musical that they had last year. Marsha doesn't really have that big moment anymore in the drive-in scene. She's still very relevant, but I loved Two Bit and Marsha together. I think they're so cute. Bad Idea. If you remember the audition cuts, that was one of the songs for Marsha. Marsha also continues to be one of my favorite characters, and I just love her. In Justice for Tulsa, Marsha used to sing in that part with Cherry. She does not anymore, but it's really cool because she's trying to stand her ground with Cherry, and the ensemble women pull Marsha back. So she's not with Cherry anymore, and she's not her friend. Sarah Grace Mariani, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. During Justice for Tulsa, once again, when they give her the flashlight, she's like terrified to help because she just left her friend. She abandoned Cherry. And there was such this nice little development there that I really liked. So just shout out to the character of Marsha. I Could Talk to You All Night, of course, is still my favorite song in the whole show. And Emma Pittman, just as Cherry, is the cherry on top. I'm funny. They took out, I don't really remember what happened, but after the whole get in the car with me, Cherry, and Cherry's like, I'm breaking up with you. I like, in this version, they had in the California run, Cherry and Marsha don't go with the boys and Dally invites them to Bucks. That doesn't happen in this version, but what I love in the Broadway run is when Cherry's like, and I don't remember, they might have done this in the California run. Maybe I'm not thinking, but Cherry does the whole, if I see you in school and I don't wave to you, like, don't take it personally. And then the music starts playing again, and Ponyboy looks at the audience and is like, yeah, that didn't feel too good. I thought that was so funny. Slap scene, as I call it, the slap song, runs in the family reprise. Brent Comer, oh my god, 10 out of 10. The build-up, everything Derry has been holding in, and then finally he's just, bam, slaps Ponyboy. Obviously, not a good sight, but just that song and just being like, no, I've done all of this for you guys and I've been treated with nothing. Like, I've been given nothing back. And he just, bam. Your breath is taken. You're like, wow. Such an adrenaline rush, basically. That's what I describe that song as. And also, having Johnny be in that scene, in that moment, adds so many new levels to it because he witnessed that. If you know Johnny's backstory, that's gotta hurt. And he wasn't in the book and the movie. He was never there for that. He was chilling in the parking lot. And then when Ponyboy's like, let's go, Johnny's like, all right, here we go. But in this, he's like, yeah, let's go. And that leads into Far Away from Tulsa, which it just shows you how much Johnny and Ponyboy care about each other and how they dream of this other life together and to like just have fun. The book shows you their friendship, but I feel like in the book it doesn't really explain how close Johnny and Ponyboy are. They only kind of are friends because they're the youngest members of the group. But in this, you see more of them goofing off with each other and having these moments of sharing their dreams together. Oh my god, the jump scene where they're jumping Johnny and Ponyboy and Johnny stabbing Bob. It will never get old. I was holding my breath. It was just like, you're on the edge of your seat and you're like, oh my god. Like, this is happening in front of you, like, live. And you can't do anything about it because obviously it's scripted, but it just feels real. The way they reveal how Johnny killed Bob, still, I was like, you read the book and you're like, yeah, obviously that's gonna happen. But you're watching and you're like, oh my god. And Ponyboy is just, he doesn't know what to do, and then Johnny's like, Ponyboy, we gotta go. And then leading into Run, Run, Brother, the best way to end Act 1. Because before I saw it last year, I was like, I wonder how they're gonna split the story into 2 acts. Having it end right when they jump off the train into Windrixville is amazing. And I was like, okay, I'm ready for Act 2. Which now we're gonna talk about Act 2. We're just speeding through because I wanna make sure I get everything in not be 44 minutes. Justice for Tulsa. Oh my god. I just love how the curtain rises and they're all standing there. Everyone. Minus, of course, Johnny and Ponyboy, who are just chilling up in the church. But, like, they're all standing there in, like, a lineup, being questioned I love that. And I love Dally's part in that song. Joshua Boone, magnificent. Death's at My Door is the lyrics in that are so beautiful. And I cannot wait for this cast album because the lyrics are genius. And it helps move the story along so well. So I mentioned in the general review, the conversation between Dally and Derry is one of my favorite things because it's not in the book. Ponyboy, narrating the show, says that this scene took Derry a long time to tell him about. He didn't really want to share that with Ponyboy. And what happens is Dally says he's more of a brother to Ponyboy than Derry will ever be. And Derry didn't like that. And in the California run, they got more physical between each other to the point where Derry was literally pushed to the ground. In this one, it's more verbal. And Derry tries to stand his ground, and Dally's like, yeah, some kind of family we are, and just leaves. And then we get into throwing in the towel, which makes me sob every time. And I'm pretty sure during the Dally and Derry scene and thrown in the towel, Ponyboy's changing his hair. And I swore to myself I was gonna watch and see how that wig change happened, and I just didn't. That wig is something else, because Ponyboy getting his hair bleached and him hating it is the funniest thing, and I'm so glad they kept the Julie Andrews bit. Ponyboy's like, do I look like Julie Andrews? And Johnny says, no, you look like blah blah blah. And then Johnny's like, oh, well, you look like Cool Hand Luke. And then Ponyboy was like, oh, okay, like, thank you. And it changes everything. It's such, like I said, just them goofing off with each other. The comedic bits in The Outsiders are so unexpected because you're like, oh my god, emotional, I'm crying. And then they say something funny and it's hilarious. Soda's Letter, aka Jason Schmidt, still stealing my heart. Like, he walks out in this sunset-esque background and he starts singing the letter to Ponyboy. And then I forgot they did this in the California run. I completely forgot. Derry comes back and stands there and sings the last line, which is, this house ain't a home without you, which is what Soda Pop says in the song. But the last line is Derry. And I went, and I grabbed my heart. I was just like, oh my god. Fire scene, like I mentioned, oh my god. Seeing the fire on stage was crazy. And I like how he busts through the doors, like how they showed you how he got into the church and everything. Hoods Turned Heroes, still one of my favorite songs. I want one of those newspapers so bad. I want to read what's on them. I'm very curious. I also love that this is the scene that Ponyboy's returning home and he's reuniting with his brothers, and it's exactly like the hospital scene in the movie where he takes a moment and stares at Derry and then they just collide. I love that so much. Hopeless War, literally the note is Hopeless War, Emma Pittman is insane. I said it already and I will say it again. She was insane for going that hard in that song. I'm obsessed. The Rumble scene, basically what I said in the general review. Literally, it's the most wild scene on Broadway right now. Like, The Notebook has rain, but it's not like this. Like, this is crazy. People are getting dirt on them. They're getting soaked. I want to know how the mics survive. Literally insane. And there's a moment where everyone screams, Ponyboy! You're just like, oh my god. You're so entranced by this scene. You're so entranced that all of a sudden, the group is standing there, Ponyboy is standing there by himself, and Johnny just appears. He just appeared in the Rumble scene, staring at Ponyboy, and I grabbed on to my dad, and I didn't know what to say. My heart actually stopped, I think. I swear to God, I don't think it was beating when that happened. Ponyboy was in shock, I was in shock. One of my favorite scenes in the whole show is that. Buddy, the whole audience cheering when the Greasers won, and the Greasers are like, woo! It was such a nice moment between everybody after being, on the edge of your seat, just to be like, okay, we won. And then Johnny dies. And that's where things go downhill for my emotional state. Remember in the California run, Johnny sings Stay Gold as he's dying? This time, he just does his little thing where he's like, stay gold, Ponyboy, and then dies. Which I think was a good move. But then, Little Brother starts, and then I'm hysteric and in shambles. And I know what's gonna happen. And I am gonna sob. Joshua Boone. My notes say Joshua Boone, crazy. Him just, he can't contain his anger and his emotions anymore during Little Brother. And I love that it's called Little Brother, because he saw Johnny and Ponyboy as a little brother. And him being like, you do it for Ponyboy, you do it for Johnny Cade. Literally, oh my god. And they changed Dally's death yet again. In the California run, he jumped off a bridge. In this version, he jumps in front of a train. And that is so much worse. And I did not see it coming until he sings that last note, and as he's, yelling it out for everyone to hear, a train noise happens, and he's just standing there, and Ponyboy tells you what happened. And he tells you that they tried to find him, but the train was already gone. And that hurt so much just thinking about it, because, I don't want to get emotional on camera. That's weird. You know that Johnny and Dally die. That's the whole thing. And Johnny still dies the same way. Dally, of course, they have changed. And it doesn't matter what happens, it still hurts. And to see it live with music and it being a musical theater thing, two things that I'm really passionate about musical theater and The Outsiders, it just gets you so emotional. If live theater can make you cry, the actors are doing their job. Thanks, Outsiders, for making me cry yet again. The aftermath being one of the little bits I mentioned that was not in the book and the movie, I'm really glad they kept that in, because I was afraid that they weren't going to. I don't know why. I got really scared. But I love it because it's not just the whole thing where Dara's like, you gotta get yourself moving and you gotta continue on with life. And Ponyboy just sits and watches the TV, and they kept that in. And Dara's like, hey, we love you. Did you hear that? I said that I love you. And Pony's just dead space, just continuing to watch TV. And when Derry's telling him all of this stuff, it's not like when they just yell back and forth at each other. Pony gets physical and starts beating up Derry, and Derry just lets it happen, and that really hurt my heart. But then Soda, of course, becomes the middleman, and they have this moment, all three of them together, where they're like, hey, we gotta stick together. Cherry, they kept this also, just this whole scene I'm really glad they kept. Cherry comes back because she was volunteering, I think at the hospital that Johnny was at. She found his stuff in the lost and found because I think his mom didn't come to pick it up. And in his jacket, I believe, or his pants, there was the note. It wasn't in Gone with the Wind, it's in his clothes, and it's for Ponyboy. And Cherry's like, I wanted to give this to you. You deserve it. And side note, but Cherry came out in a braid, and I don't know why, but I was like, oh, okay, I like that. Because she had the same hairstyle the whole time, and all of a sudden she got a braid. That's not important to the story, nor is it important to this review, but I really wanted to point out I like the braid, and they should keep that. Soda reads the letter for Ponyboy at first, and then Ponyboy grabs it. But when Soda starts reading it, Stay Gold happens, and I was in shambles. Everyone was crying, and just Sky Lakota Lynch, man, the nicest person ever. This whole cast is so nice, but the way he sings Stay Gold makes me so emotional. And then we get into Ponyboy actually speaking again and being like, can I say something? He talks about everything he has felt so far, and he's like, I'm gonna write a story about us. I'm glad that they let Derry be the one to read what Ponyboy had so far, which is most of the opening of The Outsiders. And then the music starts to play and the finale starts. I don't know if I talked about this in my other video, but I love that Tulsa 1967 is the opening and the end. Of course, there's different lyrics, but it's a nice full circle moment. And then being like, this is Tulsa 1967. And Johnny coming out in the end, he's like, your memory still lives on, Johnny. And he's there, and they're all hanging out. And it's a nice little moment because you're in shambles for so long in this show. Emotionally, what do I say in here? I said, it's just nice because we as an audience and the cast as their characters just went through so much emotionally that it's a nice uplifting ending. This is more upbeat, and it's like, okay, everything's gonna be okay, is what they're telling you. To end it with Stay Gold being the last lyric of the song. Just a perfect ending for a perfect Broadway show. Broadway show, guys. It's now on Broadway. And that is literally my spoiler review. I went through all my notes. We zipped. I'm sorry if I'm not good at like reviewing things on video because there's so much I want to talk about, but hopefully that gives you a good stance of the show so far. It's, once again, first preview. Things are subject to change. In conclusion, I cannot wait for the album. I will be seeing it again. They better win Tonys, and you all better see it and support live theater like this. They have come so far. This show has been in the making for so long that they deserve to be on Broadway. I just love also that this is basically the background, is the newspaper articles and all of my merch everywhere. So well deserved. I'm so happy. I cannot wait to see it again. I think it's really funny that every year I have an Outsiders news video of either, what did we start out? Freshman year. And you know I love my callbacks in all my videos. Freshman year was what's going on. I found out they have audition cuts and they're auditioning for workshops. Second video, I was coming to La Jolla and how I hope to see it. Third one was I saw it in La Jolla and I hope they come to Broadway. This year, the fourth video was they came to Broadway. What do we do now? What's gonna be part 5? I don't know. Broadway debut for me. No, I'm just kidding. If you need somebody, once again, for like a once-in-a-lifetime moment, I'm here. But I don't know. Do I just keep making reviews every time? I'm hoping to see the show more than once. Technically, I've seen it twice, but on Broadway, I want to see it more than once. I wanted to work maybe like the merch table or something. I don't know. I just want to keep the Outsiders still involved in my everyday life. So I'm hoping 30 Under 30 is a great opportunity to see the show again. I live near the city, so that shouldn't be a problem. But anyways, go see the Outsiders now on Broadway. It opens, I always get the date wrong. I mix it up with when it opened. It opens April 11th, so you can see it in previews right now if you really want to. Go see it in previews. Go support the Outsiders musical. Have a great one and stay gold. Oh my god, stay gold. Stay gold. Remember to stay gold and stay gold. Bye.